Trudy McIntosh is live in the studio with me. Trudy, this is a story of very many moving parts, individuals making comments on TV in the United States overnight. Where are we at? What's the latest?
The Prime Minister this morning, Kieran, saying there's a very clear signal from Donald Trump when it comes to these exemptions being under consideration. But we are in for a bumpy ride before March 12, when these steel and aluminium tariffs are due to begin for every country across the world, unless Australia can secure this crucial exemption. In the wording of this declaration that was signed by Donald Trump in the Oval Office, it singles out Australia in part. It says Australia has disregarded its verbal commitment to voluntarily restrain its aluminium exports to a reasonable level. That's the wording you can see there that was part of the executive order. But it's been put to me that that was a wording settled on prior to the phone call with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, that he's still confident in the conversation he had with Donald Trump. But there's people around Donald Trump, the anti-free traders, if you want to put it that way, in his ear, believing that Australia shouldn't in fact get an exemption. One of those is Peter Navarro, his senior trade counsellor. He was there in Trump round one in the first term, not happy, it seems, that Australia got an exemption then, and believes that there has been a breach in a verbal agreement that Australia made with the US in terms of aluminium levels into the United States. Have a look at Peter Navarro's comments overnight.
Australia is just killing our aluminum market, and the President Trump says, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're going back to where we were, golden age of steel and aluminum. What they do is they just flood our markets after Biden gave them an agreement that said, don't flood our markets, you can have a reasonable amount. That's what we're dealing with.
Now, this centres on an informal deal, one with the then Prime Minister Scott Morrison, who was there talking with Donald Trump in 2018. In an effort to placate him, it's been put to me that he agreed that Australia would limit the amount of aluminium that went in. But subsequent to that, over the course of the Biden administration, the US believes that Australia has gone beyond that verbal agreement. Arthur Sinodinos, a former ambassador to the United States, explaining more of what went down.
But what ended up happening is we restrained our exports. That was the deal, of steel and aluminium to the US, and the idea was to keep an eye on them to make sure they didn't go above certain levels. And that's the reason the Americans now are giving for saying, well, we're going to reconsider your exemption.
We know for Donald Trump it's all about the art of the deal, and for Anthony Albanese today, he doesn't want to get into the weeds of what's happened in the past. He wants to stick to the present.
Well, President Trump gave a very clear signal yesterday when he said that an exemption for Australia is under great consideration. They're his words. They're consistent with the discussion that I had with President Trump. It was a very warm and constructive discussion and engagement. We'll continue to do so.